Hello there, everyone. Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center, and I'm excited to have with us today Deena Kolb. She actually happens to have a bookkeeping and payroll service that she's run for a number of years, and she's going to share with us her story today. And what's exciting is her company, Ledger Domain, is now to the point where she's now selling it. And so we're going to get kind of the full picture here from starting the business all the way to the point now of where she's realizing it's time to start another chapter in her life. So Deena, thank you for joining me on this.
You're welcome. Hi. How you doing?
This is great. Yeah. So what we want to do is first of all, start off with just really your background. What got you into the bookkeeping profession? What kind of got you excited about a career in accounting?
Well, I was working part-time for another office and doing accounts payable, and I got tired of working in an office. I wanted to start my own business, and I wasn't sure what. But I had been on the side doing some bookkeeping for a very small nonprofit, and then doing some bookkeeping for another business where I had no training. So they kind of trained me, and then it wasn't until I got my degree and all in accounting or my classes from you guys that I realized, boy, I probably really screwed up their books because I didn't know what I was doing. But when I realized I wanted to start my own business, it was deciding what to do. And I thought I was going to start a retail business. I looked into that, did my due diligence, and realized, no, I don't want to do that. And I thought, well, I'm already doing some bookkeeping, a little bit of it. Why don't I go back to school? There was a community, our University of Idaho, Boise State University was offering a evening class on bookkeeping or accounting, college accounting. So we went through the first half of the college accounting book, and I grasped it right away. I understood debits and credits. I had no problem with it. And I realized I really enjoy this. And when the class was over, I said, well, when are we going to finish the other half? And he said, oh, probably not for another year. We'll offer the course again. I'm going, well, I can't wait till then. And so I went online and found you guys. So I got the program, which was, oh golly, 14, 15 years ago, and went through that whole program and loved it, and then hung up my hat, did some more QuickBooks training that through you guys also that you offered. And then I just started my own business and have loved it since. It's just fit who I am. I learned that I guess I'm a very organized person, very anal in making sure things are done properly. I think that's why CPAs love me, because they always have clean books. I think it's just a detail-oriented person that I am, that allowed me to be a very successful, very excellent bookkeeper. That, at least that's what I hear from CPAs. They love my work. And from when I talk to other bookkeepers, it seems like I just offer a lot more things than they offer.
Yeah, I think everyone who's actually in the accounting profession that likes organization, that is detail-oriented, is drawn to that side of the accounting process because that has that appeal, that allure, because it exists there. So that's kind of impressive that you found that that's something that you were naturally drawn to. But going back to your starting, I find it actually kind of interesting. You were doing bookkeeping, you were going from position to position, and it's almost like you were down this path before you finally realized, I'm actually good at this, I like this, maybe I had to be serious about this.
Right,
and
right.
That's a common thing. Some people actually find that through either family work or maybe it's through employment, they actually find themselves taking on bookkeeping responsibilities, and it's a number of years into their early career that they finally realize this isn't a job, it's actually a profession I enjoy, it's a career I like, I'm going to now get serious and pursue this. And that's obviously what you had done. Now, this idea of starting your own bookkeeping business, though, what kind of led you to take that leap and become the entrepreneur?
Well, because I wanted to start my own business. I figured, well, that's my business, because I really enjoyed what I was learning. I felt like I understood it. I thought, this is my business then, because I knew there's independent bookkeepers out there.
Yeah.
So I figured I could do this.
So where do you think that entrepreneurial bug came from? The idea of, I want to do this on my own?
Well, I guess I've always been a go-getter.
Okay.
I've always have started things throughout my lifetime, been an organizer, ran events. I've always been, I guess, a leader. Later, kind of, probably wasn't until in college I realized, I guess I was a leader, didn't know that. And I, I guess this is who I am. Not wanting to work for someone else and just, I don't know, I just took the leap.
So when you took this leap, were you doing this as a primary income or as a supplemental income that you were transitioning with?
Yes, my husband was already working, so
Okay.
it would be supplemental.
Perfect. And as you got into it and you started to actually take on clients, I'm kind of curious, what then made you say, I need to do this more seriously. I want to do this full time. I want to do this as a primary income. What was that transition moment from I'm doing this as a supplemental to this is going to be something I do full time?
Well, I knew that I wanted to do it full time right away when I started. But I knew that my home was not relying on my income. So that I wasn't fearful that of how slow or long it might take me to build up clientele where I was working full time.
Yeah.
So because I had that luxury, it was helpful. But it didn't take me long to start getting clients, and that clientele built pretty quickly.
Wonderful. So one of the things that I think is interesting is there is a difference between someone who has to make this work, and there's a great deal of urgency to getting clients and getting that revenue and getting up and running. And yours was more of a cautious, deliberate, I can do this, and it was perhaps, dare I say, less stressful than something that had to be done. You were able to enjoy the experience, I guess?
I guess so. I mean, I still went at it full force.
Okay.
Like I was being lazy about it or laid back. I still went at it full force and did everything I could to start networking and building clientele.
Perfect.
But, I wanted this as my full-time job, and started outpacing my husband's income. So.
I love it. So what advice would you give to your early self or someone like you who was in a process of starting their business and actually, just going out and getting the first clients? What advice would you give that individual?
Be creative. Besides joining a network group, which I really didn't get much business from, I think I got a couple of clientele from them, but it took maybe a year or two after I joined that I got clients from them. Mm-hmm. It was more of me going out and just networking with other people. For instance, I thought, I bet there's some payroll people out there that just do payroll and might know people that need bookkeeping services. So I called a payroll company and found out that they do bookkeeping, but they use a completely different system. And some people call them needing QuickBooks bookkeeping. And they didn't do that. So they started referring people that called them for QuickBooks bookkeeping to me. Uh-huh. So in fact, I got my biggest client from them, which I still have today. And I think I might have gotten a couple others from them, but and then I put I put my name on my vehicle.
Uh-huh.
Ledger domain, bookkeeping services, my phone number, and got some calls from that. And then when I started turning in my first years, because I started in August of 2014. So when I turned in my first books to CPAs for tax season in January, February, I started getting feedback from CPAs going, or even going to my clients saying, wow, you have clean books. Who's your bookkeeper? So this is amazing. And so then I started getting referrals from CPAs too.
Wonderful. Okay, but good.
As you probably know, I've heard from so many CPAs that they said probably 98% of the books that they get in from bookkeepers are a mess, which really saddened me. I assumed everybody who goes into bookkeeping, like me, thinking, if I'm going to go into bookkeeping, I need to know accounting. I mean, that's just a logical step. You need to know accounting. Went to you guys and got my accounting knowledge. A lot of bookkeepers don't do that. They think, oh, I know QuickBooks. I can do accounting. I can do bookkeeping. Well, they don't know accounting, so therefore they put things in wrong places. They put things that should be on the balance sheet in the P&L, and vice versa. They don't reconcile their P&L. They don't reconcile their balance sheet, all their statements and loans, etc. and they're just a mess. And I've seen that when I started getting business from people that had bookkeepers. I go in there and their books were a mess. So I ended up doing a lot of cleanup, a lot of cleanup going on. And so I don't know, just word of mouth, and my clients started telling their friends that had businesses about me, and it just took off. It really wasn't through any networking group that I got the business. It was just started being word of mouth.
Well, one of the things that I can definitely sense, and I agree with you, is there's unfortunately a number of people out there that give a black eye to the bookkeeping accounting profession, and it's quite sad. And personally, I've experienced it with some of our business clients that we work with, where you go in and their books are a mess, and there's actually a person, whether it be a CPA even, or an accountant or bookkeeper, however they present themselves, they're just not doing the books right. And so there's a great deal of cleanup work out there. And so that's unfortunately a truth, and it does give us a black eye, but it also gives a great deal of opportunity to really go out there and shine as a bookkeeper, as an accountant, and provide some very quality services, and do so with a passion, realizing you're making a difference. So that's quite nice. Now, Deena, this is something that I'm excited to hear. Share with us, if you can, a story or two about how you feel you've made a difference with a client, how they've benefited from your services, and how it's actually helped them in their company.
Well, I think all my clients are so grateful for me and my services, because I keep them organized. I keep their books up to date. They get P&Ls and balance sheets every month from me. I help answer their questions. I find I'm not only a bookkeeper, I'm also HR. So human resources, you need to know payroll law, because you are the only person that they can really turn to. Most companies are small enough that they don't have an internal operating manager. They don't have an HR manager. They don't have the other people that would normally, a controller, so you are basically wearing all those hats. And I've even been a counselor to people that were, married and divorced and trying to separate the business and having disagreements. And I had to sit in meetings and mediate. And then just recently had to mediate between two partners, issues they were having, and had to, help them discuss things and talk things through and come to a conclusion that they couldn't do on their own without getting angry with each other. So you end up wearing a lot of hats. So I think that's, and then going into businesses and seeing, how past things were done, and letting them know that, things were done wrong. So your tax returns were probably done wrong. But moving forward, we're going to have clean books. And I think they really appreciate that. But one instance that I also know use tax law. To me, it's very important as a bookkeeper that you understand your state's use tax laws. If you have sales tax in your state, you have use tax, which is the same things as sales tax. But it's just if you buy out of state and you're not paying tax on that out-of-state purchase, you still owe that tax to your state, called use tax. And so I was very familiar with use tax law. I made sure I studied up on it. And my husband was also a sales tax auditor with the state.
Oh my.
So to get extra knowledge from him. If I had any questions, I would just contact him saying, hey, what's the situation here? But now that he's retired, I just call the state instead and just talk to an auditor over there if I have questions. So feel free to do that, and make sure you do that. Because I had a client about 6 years ago or so that I started doing his books for him. And when I was going through his records, I realized he was double paying sales tax. He was paying the sales tax on the product he was installing, which he was supposed to be doing, but he was also adding sales tax to his client's fee. So he was double paying. So discovered that, went back 3 years, because we were allowed to go back 3 years, and got $30,000 back for him.
Wow.
So he loved me.
I would imagine he would. I mean, that's not only a very nice thing to hear, but it's also a very relieving thing to move forward with. It's
right.
As a business owner, that's the good news you get to bear. Yeah.
I would not have been able to do that if I did not understand tax law, sales tax law. And so that's a huge benefit you can give to your clients. And then I asked him, so who told you how to do it this way? And he said, our CPA. So you have to understand, most CPAs do not understand sales tax law or use tax law. They're not that knowledgeable about that, from what I've been seeing and hearing from CPAs. So don't necessarily rely on the CPA's advice for tax law.
Yeah. Well, what this shows is you've got a good example here of, because you were paying attention and you got into the details, not just recording transactions and delivering financials, you got to know the business, you understood the bigger picture for the client, and there you saw then this anomaly and you were able to dig into it. And because of the things you understood about the sales tax law, you were able to really figure it out and provide not only a resolution, but a solution that they could really get excited about. So this is because you took seriously your relationship with your client and you chose to really take care of them. And I love that about what you're sharing here, because really what it is the bookkeeping relationship. As you grow it, it puts you into a trusted advisor type of a situation.
Right.
You become very strategic, and it kind of goes back to your comment of you become HR, you become kind of a counselor. They start to see you as that key individual within their business that they can brainstorm with and bounce ideas off of. And when you do it correctly, you become that much more valuable to the success of the organization, key to their success. It's still their company. They're still making the decisions, but they have this extra voice that they can talk to, and you've become that for so many of your clients. Now, this actually is a great thing for us to use as a transition to my next question, which is, jumping forward, seeing your business as it is today, what advice would you give to a peer who also, like you, has an established practice, doing the accounting, has clients? What advice would you have for someone that's similarly in a situation like yourself?
Stay educated. I connect with CPAs where some big offices offer courses where you can get a continuing ed class if you're a CPA, but I just take it because I don't need to see, continuing ed, but I just take it to keep myself knowledgeable on tax law. So that when I am doing bookkeeping, I am making sure that I am entering transactions properly. Like, with the new tax law on entertainment is no longer deductible. So you have to make sure, so if you didn't know that, you might be entering those all as entertainment instead of as an entertainment non-deductible expense. And then you educate your clients about that too, saying, hey, when you entertain now and you take your clients to golf, or you can no longer write that off. And so you need to make sure that they're aware of things that they can write off and cannot write off. Also, I remember now too, when I first started, I found out there were free courses being offered by the state and the Department of Labor, where they would offer courses to businesses on workers' comp law, on sales tax law, and on unemployment law. So they all would get together and offer courses. In fact, I just signed up for another one with the unemployment. Even though I know it, I still like to go just to refresh my memory, see if there's anything new I don't know about. So stay educated. Make sure you understand what your state laws and your federal laws are, because you're not going to be a good bookkeeper if you don't know what those laws are.
Yeah, so one of the things that's interesting, and this kind of goes back to your very beginning, is you were drawn to the profession because of the consistency, the reliability of the numbers, 2 + 2 = 4. But what you're finding is that to remain relevant in the profession is you've got to stay up with these different laws and the different things that kind of ebb and flow with regards to business, because there's something that's really exciting about having a balanced balance sheet. But there's another thing to be said. Are you really being strategic, and are you planning with your clients how to best leverage the things available to them in running their businesses? So I like how you're showing that contrast. Now, here's something. You've been talking a little bit about training. Let's talk just a quick moment. You mentioned that in 2014 you had also enrolled in one of our programs here at Universal Accounting Center. Just share a few thoughts about that training and how that helped you with your situation.
Well, I love the fact that we had to do everything on paper, that it wasn't computer entered. So you had to see what was a debit and what was a credit. You had to do T accounts. that really forced you to understand accounting. And I love the fact that you gave us different examples of different types of businesses, from service-oriented to manufacturing, to retail, because those are the types of clients you deal with. I deal with every single industry out there. And so you gave me that training that I needed to understand each type of business. And when I had questions or couldn't remember something, I was able to contact you guys for advice. Your accountant in-house, or in-house accountant, I don't know what it was, where I had questions. And got me through that first year of not knowing things. And then also, because I was new to really understanding QuickBooks, I often used the help within QuickBooks. And I wouldn't charge my client for my time, because I feel like I was training myself too. So I always would cut back some of the time I took for the first year when I was still learning, because I had to go into help and say, okay, how do I do this type of transaction? How do I enter a credit or whatever it was? And so I self-taught myself a lot too by just using the help a lot, and asking QuickBooks, how do I do this? So I feel like in order to be a relevant, successful bookkeeper, you've got to stay on top of new things going on in QuickBooks, new things going on with tax law in your own state, federal. Stay in touch with CPAs, ask them questions. If you don't understand something, they're always happy to help you. Just stay relevant, and make sure you share that with your clients. I have clients trying to expense certain things and saying, sorry, you can't expense that. You can't write that off as a business expense. Well, everybody else does it. I'm saying, well, because their bookkeepers probably don't know better. But I am here to keep you safe. I am here if you ever get audited, that they won't find anything wrong. I am here to protect you and your business. So trust me that I am doing the right thing for you. And I've even said to clients, if you still want to continue doing and making me expense things that aren't deductible, legally deductible, you're gonna have to find another bookkeeper, because I'm not that bookkeeper. And nobody has ever fired me because of that. I think they learn to appreciate that I'm there to keep them safe and to keep them in the law.
Well, one of the things that I liked that you said was obviously keeping relevant. Obviously, you're very serious about that. You want to stay top of your game, be the professional that you are. I love the fact that you're stressing the honesty, that really what we're talking about here is being very true to the profession and taking care of the clients, making sure that they're not vulnerable. And that's something that I think a lot of clients, although might be challenged by, they will ultimately appreciate and value, because their books are clean, as you're describing. And then your kind words about the training, you're right. One of the things that we really try to do through the various programs that we offer here at Universal Accounting Center is we strive to give you two key elements for success: confidence and competence. Confidence to know with your head held high, I can do this, I can take care of a business owner's needs, and the competence, the skills to go do the work and do it profitably. And when we're talking about it, it's basically those two things that I think really make the difference between someone who struggles and someone who's successful with their firm. So here's one of the things that I'd like to now kind of jump to is, we've talked about you starting the business and running the business. You coincidentally are now in the process of now selling your business. And so I was just kind of curious, what thoughts do you have now that you're at this point of exiting the company? What thoughts would you like to share with everyone as to what you're realizing as you're preparing to sell your company?
That it's hard to find good bookkeepers out there to sell it to. So I'm going to be very particular as to who I sell it to, because I do not want someone coming in that doesn't know accounting, doesn't understand bookkeeping, and messing up my clients' books. So I feel like if I'm going to sell it and let my clients know that I'm turning it over to someone else that I have checked out, make sure they really understand accounting, make sure they're going to be good for your business, that they'll be an asset also like I was, is very important to me. My clients are my babies. I mean, a lot of these clients I've had for 14 years since I've been in business. So they're your they're your babies, and you want to take, and I'm always wanting to take good care of my clients. And I can't imagine just saying, sorry, I'm retiring, find your own bookkeeper, when I know there's a lot of lousy bookkeepers out there that will just ruin their books and do them a disservice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's my responsibility, or at least I'm putting that responsibility on myself, to find a good bookkeeper for them. So that's been a challenge. So I'm right now still looking. So trying to find someone that might be interested in a lucrative business. It is lucrative. It's a lot of work. I mean, I've taken on a lot of clients that I can, because all my children are, adults now, and I have that freedom to take on a lot of clients. I maybe took on more than I could chew. I mean, I even have hired employees to help me out. One time I think I had 3 employees helping me out, because I had a client that was just huge. And also as a bookkeeper, I told my clients, when I see a company is too big for me and that they really need an in-house bookkeeper, because they really need someone in on the daily activities, because communication is being lost between me and them when I'm not there all the time, I will tell them, I will say, you really need an in-house bookkeeper. I know I'm going to lose you as a client, but I'm here to do what's best for you, not what's best for me.
Yeah.
I always had that mentality, what is best for my client? And that means me losing them as a client because I tell them you need an in-house bookkeeper and they get one. Oh, wow. I feel like that's okay, because I always can get more clients. I get calls all the time for work. So, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're totally fine. Well, there's 2 things here. One, congratulations that you've built such a thriving business and something that you're so very proud of. You've obviously got wonderful relationships with your clients that I think is something everyone can identify with. You do grow very close to these people, because in many instances you get to know things that no one else knows about the company. They are quite revealing to you and no one else. But at the same time, in addition to those congratulations, this is a wonderful new chapter that you're going to be starting. You're retiring, you're going to go off and now enjoy a new stage of your life, and I commend you on that. So congratulations, well done, and this is just wonderful. I think the story you're sharing here is something not only people can relate to, but at the same time aspire to have. So this is wonderful. So there's a few things that I'd like to do to just wrap up. Is first ask, do you have any final thoughts or any closing ideas that you'd like to share?
I guess if you don't love what you're doing and you don't love bookkeeping, it's not your job. It's not your career. I think it's a career that is not for everybody. You have to have that mentality of loving, of just loving what you're doing. I guess would be the same in any career you're doing. But you have to have that, that detail-oriented, organized, wanting to help your client. It's not about you, it's about your client. I think that's the way you become a good bookkeeper, and staying educated.
Very good. So love what you do and stay relevant, stay educated. And regarding the loving what you do, there's a lot to be said for someone who can find what they love and they get paid for it. It really does make life a lot easier. So, that's a great piece of advice. So
what's wonderful too, is that your clients love you. My husband was an auditor, as an auditor, most people don't like him because he's auditing, sales tax, laws. Like, sorry, you owe us sales tax. So he didn't get a whole lot of kudos from everybody. Yeah, he didn't have people giving him gifts, like I get, or, just saying, thank you so much for all you do. You're so appreciated. I get that all the time from my clients. And so it's a great feeling, that you feel appreciated and loved.
That is nice, and it is rewarding. So that is a good final thought. So let me wrap this up by thanking you, but at the same time, just point out a few things that I think people will appreciate. In the description below, I'll actually put down some things related to what Deena was mentioning, the Professional Bookkeeper program, some tools for growing the business and starting, and then also something that I think is relevant to this discussion because of your situation of selling the business. I'm going to put down some information regarding a pre-score evaluation information for business owners like yourself, Deena, and it's basically a link to go do a quick assessment that actually helps you sell the company as the owner of a business, and then another for a business score that's related to your business to help you assess the value of your company. And both of those come with some very good reports, and I'll put the links below for everyone else to see those as well. So thank you for your time. This has been a great discussion. I'm personally leaving with a good deal of thoughts and inspiration. So thank you, and everyone else, have a wonderful day. Understand this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. So take care.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.